नमस्कार आयच्या या हेडोनात तुमकां सगळ्याक येवकार एक खास हेडोन आणि एका खास व्यक्ती बरोबर वन ऑफ दी फोरमोस्ट इंटेलेक्चुअल वॉइसेस पॉलिटिकल वॉइसेस एंड सीनियर काँग्रेस लीडर शशी थरूर. So welcome to Goa again.
Thank you, Pramod. Good to see you.
Whenever you are in Goa, there is a good vibe around.
I'm glad to hear that.
Let me start with the video that is doing rounds in the city. Your last night's dinner and a very, very delightful singing. So let's start with that. How is Goa treating you in this political atmosphere?
Well, it's not even been one full day. I landed at about 2:30 yesterday. But it's been wonderful. I've already been met by the press scrum at the airport. Then there was a detailed interview with the Times of India. Then I went to this public meeting for Captain Viriato Fernandez. And finally, I ended up having dinner with a friend, and there was some impromptu singing, which apparently I thought it was a private affair, but it turned out to have gone social, but it's all right. It was just all in good spirits. Goa is a place where the spirit of the people is part of the joy of being here.
So you landed and you made a very big statement that forget about 400 par, even 200 par looks like a challenge. Why do you say so? Predominantly because you are coming from South India and you are not yet
no, because
to the north.
No. The first two phases, as you remember, the South has voted, whole of Tamil Nadu, whole of Kerala have voted, but also a number of districts in northern states, in Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh and so on, have voted. And we are getting the buzz from there also. And in all these states, what we're picking up is that people are completely uninspired by the BJP government's performance. You see, 2014, Mr. Modi ran on being the CEO of Gujarat. He was going to bring economic development, sabka saath, sabka vikas. Achhe din never came. Demonetization came instead. People lost their jobs, they lost their money. Terrible situation, right? Then 2019, he abandoned that whole theme because he knew he couldn't get away with it. So it became Pulwama, Balakot, national security. We will keep India strong against Pakistan, against terror and so on. And people voted for national security. Now he can't say that either because our national security has been a failure. The Chinese are sitting on our border. They're eating away our land. There are 65 patrolling points where both the Indian army and the Chinese army used to patrol. And now only the Chinese army is sitting in 26 of those points. The Indian army no longer has access. So they cannot run on national security. We'll point fingers at them on this. So what is left? Hindutva, Hindu Hridaya Samrat, Ram Janma Bhoomi, and now attacking Congress for imaginary sins that they're going to take away your Mangal Sutra and give it to Muslims. I mean, what nonsense is this? They themselves say that Congress has been in power for 65 years. Have we ever done anything like this in 65 years? So, honestly, this kind of campaign shows the limitations, number one, of the BJP strategy. They don't have a narrative. They don't have a message to give the Indian people. Then secondly, you asked why the numbers are so unconvincing. See, in 2019, they already maxed out in all the states where they are strong in northern India. 6 states, they won every seat. 3 states, they won all but 1 seat. 2 states, they won all but 2 seats. Now, in all these states, they have nowhere to go but down. That's what people are forgetting. You ask them, how will you go up in a state where you already won every seat? All you can do is go down and say, take Haryana. Last time they won every seat. Today, the polls are showing Congress winning 5 to 7 seats in Haryana. So, BJP will lose some seats everywhere. I'm hearing stories they might even lose 1 or 2 in Gujarat, which no one could believe earlier. There's talks now about a real slide back in the other Hindi-speaking states. Rajasthan in particular, the Congress is giving a very good fight. So if you look at all these numbers, BJP only has a margin of 32 seats in the majority. 272 is a majority, they have 303. 31 seats. So 32 are gone, they'll lose their majority. They are losing more than 32, definitely. In fact, they are losing a substantial number. How many? There are still 5 phases to go. We'll have to see how people come.
There's also a very concerted endeavor to make up for those seats from south of the Vindhyas. You don't feel that's happening?
No, look, they may be trying. They even tried to try and take some seats in south. Prime Minister came and said, in Kerala we'll have double-digit results. I said, yes, only if the 2 digits are both 0. And that's what's going to happen to the BJP in Kerala. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu, you're seeing a situation where there isn't a hope for them of even coming close in any one seat. So in these circumstances, we're looking at BJP doing worse in the south because last time Karnataka, they got quite a number of seats. I think they got 27 or 28 with their alliance. Now that's not happening. So we are again looking at various polls, 10 seats, 12 seats, 17 seats, who knows. Whatever it is, it's not going to be one seat. It's going to be very much better. Telangana, we had 2 seats last time. Everyone is saying about 10 seats. So in the south, the Congress and the India Alliance will do much better. The BJP will go down. So not only are they not compensating, they're actually losing further. And then in the north, as I said, they've already maxed out. So where are they going to get new seats? You ask them, point to a state where your seats are going to go up from last time. They can't point to any seat. They only point to UP again.
One important factor is that BJP is going into this election after the grand Ram Mandir Pran Pratishtapana. Don't you think issues, I'm not saying Hindutva per se, but these religious, the issues of faith are not resonating with the electorate?
They're not resonating. And they're not resonating for very understandable reasons. Look, why would some young man in the north, a Hindi-speaking man, who voted for Mr. Modi in 2014 because he expected to get a job, why would he vote for Mr. Modi again 10 years later when he still doesn't have a job? Where are the jobs in our country? There is unemployment even amongst the educated people. Youth unemployment is at record levels. Now, on top of that, you've got, we're a very price-sensitive nation. For many people, what you can afford to eat occupies a large percentage of your disposable income. So if you're sitting in a situation where you cannot even afford to go to the bazaar and buy the fruits and vegetables that you used to buy last year or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, then you're going to say, why is the government doing this to me? If they're going to let prices go up, let them also raise my salary. But in the last 10 years, 80% of the Indian population has only seen a decline in their incomes. And 20% has gained all the benefits from this economic miracle. 1% has seen 40% of the GDP growth in this country. So you're looking at a situation where the Aam Aadmi, the average voter, has no incentive to vote for Mr. Modi, and those who would have voted because of Ram Mandir are already voting for Hindutva anyway. So nothing is going to go.
We have consistently seen from 2014 onwards that the BJP's core voter base is not flinching. It is consistent. It is staying with Mr. Modi. No alliance has been able to shake that. Why do you think that's happening right now, or whether it is happening right now?
It's not happening right now. In fact, what we're getting from the ground, the reports we're getting is there is a surprising degree of indifference on the part of core BJP voters. It's partially because they say that this Abki Baar 400 par made them think, "Bhai, jeet to rahe, why should we bother? We'll stay at home." That, I don't think, is the total explanation. The other explanation is they are people who will not vote for the opposition because of their belief in Hindutva or Modi or whatever, but they don't feel inspired to vote for BJP either because of all these economic factors I've told you. See, ultimately people realize...
Indifference or fatigue?
I think it's both. I mean, see, don't forget, people have begun to realize it is not the government's job to build temples. The government's job is basically to look after your welfare. Government has an impact on everything from petrol and diesel prices to the availability of jobs to what kind of income and salary you're getting. Those are the kinds of things that affect people's daily lives. And so they're saying, hey, why should we vote for these? We won't vote against them because we believe in Hindutva, but why should we vote for them? That indifference and that fatigue with Mr. Modi's speeches and bombast and so on, that is beginning to hurt.
One of the key agendas that the Prime Minister is driving right now, that he achieved certain milestones in his 2 terms, like Article 370, and if Congress comes to power, there is going to be a sure-shot revocation of those policies.
So how many people have felt that their lives in any way have benefited or grown or improved because of Article 370 abolition? You tell me, you might read this in the paper and say, "Theek hai, sarkar ne kuch kiya." Or you may read it and say, "Bahut bura kiya." But neither way is it changing your life unless you're living in Kashmir, right? So for the vast majority of Indian voters, what Mr. Modi is pointing to is very far removed from why they voted for him in the first place. Where is Achhe Din? Where are the 2 crore jobs every year? Where are the 15 lakhs in your bank account from bringing black money back to the country? Where is the sort of so-called benefits of demonetization? GST has gone up now. The collections have hit record levels. But who's paying GST? 60% of GST collections come from the Aam Aadmi, not from big business. So people are saying, "Bhai, kiske liye sarkar kaam kare? Hamare liye ya kuch unke doston ke liye?"
So then what will be at least the policy position of the Congress party on a very sensitive matter like 370?
Look, on 370, even Jawaharlal Nehru ji had said it's a temporary provision. But it should be one day disposed of only with the full consultation and approval of the people of the state. We have always believed in doing things democratically. Our opposition to what the government did was not about the outcome, which is something that could have been done in some other way. What we opposed was the way in which it was done. You appoint a governor, you declare president's rule, you abolish the assembly, and then you get the governor to speak on behalf of the assembly and say, yes, Kashmir agrees. The governor is not even a Kashmiri. There is no assembly. Now, if you can do that to Kashmir, you can do it to any state in the union. Tomorrow they can declare president's rule and go. Instead of buying opposition MLAs as they've done, they can basically declare president's rule and change Goa into something.
How will Congress relook at this situation if you are in power?
That is something that we will have to discuss once we come to power. Remember, we are likely to be in a coalition government. Many views will have to be taken into account. But we are absolutely justified in criticizing the way in which it was done. We have promised that we will uphold the spirit of the Constitution.
The means did not justify the end.
The means were wrong. It was as simple as that. It was legislative misbehavior on the part of the government. And honestly, on these issues, there are still some questions pending in people's minds. But at this point, we would be concerned about the future well-being of the country rather than undoing every historical wrong. But some laws, for example, we have said, anti-people laws must be rolled back, repealed. For example, the amendment that was brought into the UAPA, the amendment that was created to the Citizenship Act. These are things which are fundamentally violative of the spirit of the Constitution. No government should have the right to jail you indefinitely without bringing you to a court, without charging you and without bail. That is simply wrong. We're a democracy. We're not some kind of banana republic or dictatorship. Similarly, no government has the right to inject religion into questions of citizenship. Citizenship is a privilege of people of all religions, all castes, all languages, if you're Indian. So some of these things we are determined to change.
So while talking about, you claimed about the indifference and the fatigue regarding NDA, you also mentioned about the India alliance. And the one major factor that we are seeing is, although you are trying to put up a united front, in your own state like Kerala, your own chief minister is very heavily criticizing Rahul Gandhi, scathing attacks on him.
And vice versa.
Same thing is happening in West Bengal. So, do you think there is an alliance in place that can inspire the voter if the voter, as you say, is indifferent or fatigued with the existing alliance?
Yeah, because in each case, the important thing to understand is in our country, each state has its own political character, its own history. And in each state, therefore, the realities vary. We have been fighting the left in Kerala for 55 years. The power has been alternating every 5 years until the last election of 2 years ago. There was never any question that we could be on the same side in Kerala. But right next door in Tamil Nadu, CPM, CPI, Congress, our ally Muslim League and DMK are all together and there is no debate, no dispute, no problem. Similarly, as you know, in Delhi, Aam Aadmi Party is with us, in Punjab they are not with us. So you have a situation, very frankly, where it varies from state to state. But once the elections are over, every party that is opposed to the BJP has promised to converge behind an alternative government. We saw the same thing in UPA in 2004. The same left which had clobbered us in Kerala supported Dr. Manmohan Singh.
It wasn't a pre-poll alliance.
No, but that's exactly the point. What is unusual about the India Alliance was that they came together in a pre-poll stage already. But if they had not done so, you would not be asking this question. You would be saying, okay, so many parties are there. Yes, but these many parties share a common objective of overthrowing the BJP government.
But when such disparate voices come forward every now and then, like Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary saying that vote for BJP but don't vote for TMC, don't you think such kind of narratives fail to inspire the electorate that there is a viable alternative?
You know, the Congress is saying that that is a doctored video and that he never said that. So I don't know what the final conclusion is.
Mamata Banerjee has responded to that.
Yeah, I mean, the TMC is obviously not happy about the stand taken by the Congress party, which is allied with the left in Calcutta. I was a child in high school in Calcutta when the left were busy assaulting and murdering and conducting various attacks on Congress workers. So I can raise my own astonishment at the way in which life has changed in Bengal, but it doesn't matter because when we meet in Delhi on the 4th of June or 5th of June after the results are out, if Our numbers together will form a government. We will form a government with agreement. We'll agree on a common minimum program at that point, and we go ahead. Remember, what's important right now is that every coalition government in India has a better record of economic growth and delivering people's welfare than any single party government, including ours, including the BJP's. Look at the performance of coalition governments. And by the way, don't forget that both the Vajpayee government and the Manmohan Singh government were coalitions. And they delivered remarkable growth and remarkable prosperity to the Indian people. So Achhe Din were really those governments, not the monolithic government of Mr. Modi. And I just want to say to you, give us a chance. You've seen 10 years of all the good and bad that the Mr. Modi's government could do. And the bad, in our view, has outweighed the good. Give us a chance to show you that the good can outweigh the bad.
The primary allegation of the BJP against this alliance, this is an alliance of convenience. All the leaders, basically the family Raj leaders have come together for survival. And whoever are not from the family Raj are there for the convenience, political convenience.
It's not an alliance of convenience, it's an alliance of conviction. And the conviction is that our country will only thrive if we preserve our democracy and if we preserve our diversity. We cannot run India with one nation, one leader, one election, one party, one religion, one God, one prime minister. That is not going to work. It has not been working so far. It is the overweening ambition of one gentleman and one party that has taken the country into even debating this proposition. India has worked well when it has been a case of not meh, but hum. We as a people collectively, and the Congress party, along with other parties, has a lot of experienced, qualified, capable leaders who will come together and make the country function better.
Not an alliance of convenience, not an alliance for survival.
Mind you, the survival of the spirit of the Indian constitution, of the
not the individual leaders, not the spirit of the constitution.
Well, look, unfortunately, this talk about Parivarwad is a joke. How many Parivars are there in the BJP? You look at every state, there are Parivars. From Himachal to Maharashtra, there are Parivars within the BJP. This is all irrelevant talk. Frankly, it just suits Mr. Modi to find some bogey to attack. You know, I must say that the dog whistling against the Muslim community in particular has been truly shocking. You don't expect such a thing from a Prime Minister. Prime Minister is Prime Minister of all Indians, irrespective of your language, your religion, your state. Now, how can an office like that, the office of Prime Minister, which every Indian wants to respect, be demeaned in such a way as to use it to say the most vile things against one community? It's really disappointing.
And I have to ask you this question because of your vast international experience. The image that is projected about India's stature and the Prime Minister's stature across the world, and BJP is very determinedly pushing it, saying that this is what we achieved in last 10 years. India has a different level of stature.
No.
India Prime Minister has a different level of stature. You completely disagree with it?
Completely disagree. Our stature was very much higher before this government. In fact, when President Obama, before leaving office, was asked to name the 3 most impressive leaders in the world, the first name he came up with was Manmohan Singh. Dr. Manmohan Singh and India in those days, as a democracy, as a land of diversity, as a country of such incredible soft power and good qualities, was highly admired. Today, most of the Western press about India is negative. It's about Islamophobia, it's about increasing dictatorship, it's about stifling the freedom of the press. You pick up any of 50 newspapers from the Western world, and you will see that the overwhelming coverage is negative about India. How can they say our stature has gone up? In fact, if anything, governments are pushing back in Mr. Modi. Look at the trouble he has got into with America and Canada over the stories, allegations, I will say, that India has been attempting to assassinate their citizens. Look at the problems he's got right now with China on our borders. Look at the problems that he's got in Europe on a number of issues. We made no progress on the trade deal there either. Where has Mr. Modi's stature gone up? In our own neighborhood, the Maldives is being rude to us. The Sri Lankans are busy reacting to being snubbed on the Kachativa Island business and are flirting with the Chinese. In Nepal, already the Chinese have moved in significantly into the north. Where has Mr. Modi's India grown in stature?
Two fronts this government is taking a lot of credit is managing Russia and the United States on a similar kind of a
that is the old policy.
And Israel and Iran.
But those are the old policies of non-aligned India. Was there ever
You are
a
not
time...
saying that is the achievement of this government.
No, he has continued a policy. Was there ever a time in our history when India was on only one side? India has always tried to be non-aligned between the superpowers. It has also tried to be a viable player in every conflict, even, for example, on the Afghanistan conflict. We were, as you remember, rather close to Iran during that time. You've also seen on the Iran-Iraq war, we didn't take any sides. We evacuated people when Kuwait fell. If you look at the situation that you're talking about today in the Middle East, India was always trusted by both sides, which is why in all the UN peacekeeping operations, Indian soldiers were sent. So you must understand, this has been historically...
You don't consider this an achievement of this government?
I don't think there is any new achievement in Mr. Modi's foreign policy. I think what you've got, the one new thing is Mr. Modi has brought a lot of personal energy into traveling around the world. But all of these policies, when people said, oh, Mr. Modi is doing something to improve international relations on the business front, I said that used to be called the Manmohan Doctrine. That is, that the job of the Indian ambassador is not to attend cocktail parties and recycle political gossip. That we can get off the internet now. The job of the ambassador is to facilitate more business, investment, and so on that will help the welfare of the Indian people. That was the Manmohan Doctrine. I've heard him saying this to a meeting of Indian ambassadors. That is precisely what Mr. Modi continued, but wants to take credit for it as Modi's policy. It's India's policy. Similarly, as I said, non-alignment. Maybe the term is now out of date because there are no longer two superpowers not to be aligned between. But the idea that we preserve our strategic autonomy, that we don't immediately fall into somebody else's alliance, that is an old idea going back to Nehruji. Nothing new about that. So Mr. Modi, fortunately, has seen the merits of continuity. And even though he likes to act as if nothing happened before he came to power, there's this joke about the child who was asked when was India's independence. He said 2014. Why? Because his BJP father has been telling him everything started only in 2014. So he thought that must be what he should write in the exam paper. This is what's happening in our country. The government wants to rely on historical amnesia. People don't remember the past, but everything they're doing now that is good is a continuation of the past.
So last two questions, whether India Alliance has a very clear leader. There is another point they are repetitively trying to tell people that this is a leaderless alliance.
Listen, first of all, we are on a parliamentary system, not a presidential system. In a presidential system, that is a fair question. Who is your candidate? We are talking about convictions, policies, parties. We're not talking about individual leaders. In fact, Mr. Modi's failure is that he's running a parliamentary system presidentially. It's not supposed to be that way. In a parliamentary system, the Prime Minister is merely the first among equals in a cabinet. That's how it's supposed to be. So number one, the question is misconceived. Number two, when the question needs to be answered, it will be answered. Did you ever expect to see Mr. Devagowda as Prime Minister? Did you even expect to see Dr. Manmohan Singh as Prime Minister? These moments will arise in history when the parties will come together and agree on a common person.
You see, it is not necessary to give that clarity to the electorate at this point of time.
Look, each of us may have our own favorites. As a congressman, I would say a couple of Congress leaders' names. Somebody else from another party would say their names. Why do we want to create a quarrel over that right now? Once the results are in, everyone sees how many parties are involved in the discussion, what is the total number of votes we have by comparison with the BJP. They will sit around a table and they will come to an agreement. I'm not worried about that.
So you said a couple of names from Congress. Who would be the couple of picks?
No, the two obvious names are the Congress President, Mallikarjun Kharge, and the former President, Rahul Gandhi, who is the most popular leader amongst all the Congress party workers. So these are the two names that will occur to everybody in the Congress party. That's normal. I mean, I don't think you should be surprised by that answer. But at the end of the day, they are not the only ones in the fray. There will be other parties that will have to agree. And I'm sure there will be a very collegial, friendly conversation about this because the main objective is to change the government in Delhi. As long as you have the numbers, the names are much less important than the numbers.
So final question. You are from God's own country.
Yep.
And I can ask this question only to a person.
So when I come to Goa, I feel this is God's other country.
So how do you describe Goa?
God's other country.
You're keeping the word other for us.
Look, it's a beautiful place. I must say, I am so charmed by Goa every time I come here. I've attended your Goa Heritage Festival. Yes. I've seen some parts of the old town, not everything. And of course, nature has blessed you, as it has blessed us. With gorgeous coastline, lovely waters, excellent conditions. I find that it's always a pleasure to be here. Kerala...
As a creative person, which place has a better vibe?
You know, it depends on where in Kerala. Kerala is a much bigger state. So there are different places in Kerala that you might want to. I mean, Trivandrum is a governmental capital. Kochi is a business place. Kozhikode likes to think of itself as a truly cultural city, but there are slightly smaller towns like Thrissur, which are also major capitals of literature and so on. My own view, and Kottayam is where the major newspaper is published. There's so many different places in Kerala. My own view is that what we should absolutely appreciate about both Goa and Kerala is the combination of what God has given us, that is nature, what we have made of it ourselves, that is our own endeavor, our culture, and of course the spirit of the people. The Goan people are such a joy to be amongst that makes something very attractive for any visitor. You really feel happy to be amongst Goans.
Sir, pleasure talking to you.
Nice talking to you, Pramod. Thank you.
मॅडम सुगंध तर इतलो बरो येता जाणा.
थँक्यू.
टिफिना वांगडा त्यो न्यूट्रिशनाच्यो गुळयो दिवपाक विसरू नाका हा.
आता तो न्यूट्रिशनाच्यो गुळयो विसर.
कित्याक?
का या तांदळातूच सगळे न्यूट्रिशन मेळटले. पंचामृता फोर्टिफाईड राईस हातूंत आयर्न, झिंक, फॉलिक ऍसिड, व्हिटॅमिन ए, बी सारकेले 9 मिनरल्स आसात. तर हे झाले नाही निरोगी आणि सुवादिक. तर पुराय पौष्टिक आहारा खातीर
पंचामृता फोर्टिफाईड राईस
असल्यास पुरो.
पुराय पोषणा खातीर पंचामृता फोर्टिफाईड राईस. घराघरांनी पंचामृता.